been in a house, the haunted mansion?
No, I haven't been in a literal haunted mansion.
You've never been in a literal haunted mansion?
Yes, I've never been in a giant house that was haunted.
Have you ever been in, like, a haunt? A scary, like, a haunted house?
I'm sure I have a few times.
Are you like, I went to one... Have I told you I sprained my ankle going up the hill to get to the haunted house? But that pain was soon forgotten because a clown was chasing me, so I was just walking around on a sprained ankle.
Wait. Are we talking about a haunted house as in those carny things, or...
Those carny things. Because they pack up and they move on?
Yeah, it's just like, it's like, hey, it's a fun house. Or were we talking about, like, a literal house that, like, people have died in, and, like...
That is haunted.
That's literally haunted.
No, the carny thing. Have you ever been to one of those carny things?
No.
No, you've never... You should go to one. We'll talk about it. Hi! Welcome. We're recording.
Ah, cool.
Fear the Ink, episode 1. We read scary stories terribly. And then that's it.
Now we do.
Yeah, no, now we do. In the vein of Mystery Science Theater and a bunch of other stuff, we're just going to read... I mean, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. I've never read this one we're reading today, and we're talking about haunted mansions because it is called Grad Night in a Haunted Mansion by David King.
King of Davids.
King of Davids. And so, I don't know. Well, we're just gonna read the story. There's only two of us here. I was aiming for more people, but there's just two of us, a microphone, and a heater, and a strange glowing rock on top of the heater.
Made of salt.
It's made out of salt. It's made out of all those times that Rob beat me at fighting games. I just kind of...
accumulated into one solid rock.
Oh, I'm Julian, and this is Rob.
I'm Rob.
He's Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hi.
And Rob here is going to kick off the reading. And when he's ready, when he's... You want to lick the magic salt rock?
Nah,
no?
I'm good.
Nah, well, don't lose your drink again. He lost his drink.
I found it.
It was a foot away from
here
him.
on my side.
All right, you got it? All right. All you, and then... Okay, explaining. We're going to alternate. You can read along. I'm going to put a link in the description for the story. You can read along with us. There's going to be paragraph breaks, and we're gonna jump off. We're going to switch readers every time there's a paragraph break. Rob, you, go.
On June 4th, 1983, my high school was one of many that took us to Disneyland for Grad Night. If you've ever been to Disneyland on Grad Night, you know how much fun and how crazy it can be. The park stays open extra late. The skippers who drive the Jungle Cruiser boats let loose and tell dirty jokes. And there's plenty of opportunities for people to sneak booze and weed in. Getting a bunch of amped high schoolers in Disneyland is one thing, but with a nightlife and party atmosphere behind it, things could get pretty nuts.
Okay. I thought Grad Night was going to be a college thing.
I thought Grad Night was a person.
You thought it was a... What do you mean?
I don't know.
You thought it was a person?
I don't know
Like
why.
a dude named Grad Night?
I think so.
I like your idea better. My two friends and I, Anaheim locals, were particularly excited. We all love Disneyland, and while we didn't get to visit often, living practically in the park's backyard gave us more opportunities than most. In addition, we hadn't been since the new Fantasyland opened earlier that year, going from a sort of medieval fairground into a storybook village, so I was kind of looking forward to that. Unlike a lot of people who were there, we intended to keep things clean and have a grand old time of it. Hit as many rides as possible and just revel. That's a weird word.
You mean revel?
Oh, damn it. Yeah.
As in I'm reveling in my experience?
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it's revel.
English is my second language.
True it is. Sadly, it's also mine. Anyway, but the big plan for the night was kind of ambitious and maybe a little reckless. To this day, I can't remember who suggested it first, but only that we all thought it was a great idea. We had already gotten to the park and gone on a number of rides when it was brought up. While we were sitting on a bench in Frontierland eating churros.
Have you ever had the churros at Disney?
No, I haven't.
They're good. They give you a little packet of chocolate to dip it in.
Oh, that sounds really good.
It's really good, but the chocolate tastes super like artificial and like fruity, and I don't understand, and it confuses me.
That sounds weird.
It does sound weird. Anyway, I interrupted you because the
Yeah,
second
yeah.
I saw churros, I was like, I remember
Oh, hey,
churros. All right, go. You left
Anyway.
off at churros.
From where we sat, we could look across the river to America. Look across the rivers of America to Tom Sawyer Island, and past that there was a river curved to New Orleans Square. Poking above the trees was a cupola of the cupola of the haunted mansion, with its clipper ship weather vane. The sun had just gone down, and the sky was awash with dull orange and purple clouds, most of which seemed to loom behind the cupola. I pointed out how perfect and spooky the whole thing looked, and that got us talking about it. The mansion was a collective favorite, and being dumb kids, we agreed to do a little exploring to effectively spend the night in the haunted mansion.
I saw purple and orange, and my mind went to the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon crossovers.
Why is purple orange? I mean, I get they're orange and purple.
Yeah, they're orange and purple.
I mean, I like the setting that they're putting with.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I feel like we should pull up a map of Disneyland, but yeah, no. The Clipper Ship Weather Vane. Is the Haunted Mansion the same? It's not the same in both parks, right? It's a different model mansion.
Okay, so this is Disney.
This is in Anaheim, California.
Okay, because I've never been to Disneyland. I've been to Disney World, so I have no clue exactly.
Looking at pictures for the thumbnail of this episode.
Yeah.
The Anaheim Haunted Mansion has like columns in front of it.
Does it?
It does.
Is it supposed to look more like an actual like?
It's supposed to look like a Southern plantation kind of deal.
Okay, because the other one I remember in Disney World.
Yeah,
it was more of like a kooky, crazy kind of looking house.
Yeah, in Disney World you have that entrance, and then you have that winding way to get to the mansion.
Yeah, and then it goes in that weird circle room where
the thing
it looks
stretching,
where it looks like you're going down, when really you're just standing still.
You're just standing still. Yeah, but no, if you've been, neither of us have ever been to Disneyland, so we're just kind of playing around with this thing. All right. We laughed about as we got in line. About what?
Oh, I'm guessing they were laughing about the idea.
Okay, all right. We laughed about it as we got in line for it. Moving past the brick columns and columns and up the walk toward the mansion. But inside, I was a bit nervous. You have to understand security was a bit more lax back then, so it was plausible that we would be able to pull this off if we were careful. Plus, grad night always had kids getting into trouble, and the likelihood of us being banned for good was not as high as it could have been. But I still felt tense. The things you get, that feeling you get when you're scared about going on a thrill ride for the first time, excited but hesitant. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Sums up a good emotion for anyone going on a new ride.
That's right. Yeah, no, I totally understand that feeling.
Right. The three of us, Mike, Karen, and myself, had it all worked out when
It had it all worked out.
Okay. When you had it all worked out. When you first enter the mansion, you're escorted into the room that seems to stretch and warp. Wait, is that warp? Yeah, warp. Warp before your eyes. Which is actually an elevator that takes guests below ground. Where a hallway connects to the ride building beyond the park berm. Beyond the park's berm. As everyone else crowded out of the room and into the hall of morphing portraits, we lagged behind, which the disembodied voice of the ghost host jokingly warned you not to do, and fell in the very back of the line. By the time we piled into our doom buggy, there was no one else behind us, and the black endless procession of calm shell-like cars were empty.
Those the first time I ever got in a haunted mansion, the little bar thing scared the bejesus out of me. The little harness, because it just snapped up, and then it snapped up, and then one of the attendants who had like the corpse paint on grabbed it and shook it to check if it was secure, and that guy double scared the crap out of me because he was like out of my peripheral vision, and I just see this pale hand go dun, 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 and I was like, okay. We went through the ride as normal, cracking jokes and making banter at all the old familiar scenes, until we reached the exit crypt. We stepped out onto the moving platform and walked toward the escalator ramp that leads from the crypt back to the park outside. If you don't know, the escalator hugs the wall on the right, but on the left is a small crypt scene where a tiny, ghostly bride stands on a stone shelf and tells you to hurry back, hurry back. Mike took charge here, deliberately turning backwards as we went up to watch the cast member near the buggies below us. Mike's a big, broad-shouldered guy, a football player through and through, and his bulk hid me and Karen from view as we slowly ascended. At his signal, when the cast member monitoring the exit had his back turned, Karen and I climbed over the rail and dropped down into the crypt scene, where we quickly scurried under the dusty space beneath the escalator. Mike was over a moment later, and we laughed and congratulated each other on a job well done. Ooh, crafty.
Yeah, smart bastards. We must have spent a good hour or so down there, giggling into our hands whenever we heard footsteps and voices overheard of unsuspecting people exiting the ride. Karen even had some snacks she brought with her, and we sat there in the dark. That was a very smart move, Karen.
Nice one, Karen.
Sat in the dark and ate and whispered to each other. It was like being in a weird clubhouse, and it felt good that we three shared this delinquency together, even as the narration of the ghost bride looped over and over and over again in the background. Hurry back, be sure to bring your death certificate if you decide to join us. Make final arrangements now. We've been dying to have you.
Got goosebumps. No, I remember. I know exactly what they're talking about. It's near the end of the ride. It is.
It's near the end?
It's near the end of the ride. It's a tiny little statue with like a hologram face that tells you, hurry back, hurry back.
I don't remember that. I do remember the mirror with the ghost hitchhikers.
Yes.
And I also remember the ghostly piano player. That's because the ride was stuck there for like a good 25 minutes for me.
Yeah, last time I was on, it got stuck at the bride in the attic.
Okay.
It got stuck there for like a long time.
Nah. For me, it was stuck at the piano player, and we were stuck there for like a good 25 minutes.
Oh, I was only stuck there for
So I heard the same piano keys over and over.
You're just sitting there watching the piano keys.
Yeah.
Alright, eventually the novelty wore off, and we got quiet, and then listless. Sure, we'd manage this much, but then what? Karen pointed out that it had been eerily silent for a while. Other than the monotonous speech of the bride and the other spooky ambient sounds, there were no more people coming up the ramp. Mike said he thought maybe the park had closed, but that made no sense because it was open all night on Grad night. Not wanting to get in trouble, but also wondering what was up, I volunteered to clamber back up and take a look. When I did, using some of the crypt scenery for hand and footholds, I saw that there was no one around. Not even a cast member down at the unloading platform at the end. Ooh, creepy.
Now we're getting spooks.
Yeah, now the spooks are real.
When I reported this, Mike and Karen climbed back up as well, and we went back down to the unloading station to look around. All the doom buggies coming along the corridor were empty, and there was no person in sight. It was odd, to say the least, and I felt like something was definitely off to have this place so empty. I was about to suggest turning around and heading back outside when Mike said he'd always wondered where the doom buggies went after they dropped you off. They rounded a dark corner in the crypt area and vanished from sight, and Mike was curious what was down there.
I've always wondered that myself.
I just figured they'd go.
I'm pretty sure they just kind of loop back around.
They just go in a circle, yeah.
Now, really, I should have said no. That there was no point that we could get into some serious trouble if we snooped around back there. It was probably just a utility corridor anyway. Maybe the buggies just looped back around to the loading room anyway. But I was young and I was stupid, and when presented with a golden opportunity like that, it was hard to pass it up.
I was going to say, want me to read these next two?
Yeah, read the next two,
okay.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and jumped into the dune buggy going by, and it slowly rounded the corner into darkness. This was uncharted territory for us, and even if it turned out to be boring back there, at the very least, we'd get a chance to see it and maybe get another ride out of it. Hardly a day goes by where I regret not having said something.
Here we go. I got it. Okay.
I was gonna say this so far is doing a pretty good setup.
Yeah.
Because I could definitely see like a bunch of dumb kids just being like, you know what, we're here. We may as well just see the rest of whatever's behind everything.
Fuck it. Fuck the magic.
Exactly. Fuck the magic that's here. I want to see the reality.
That's right. The main thing I remember was how Spartan it was. It wasn't quite pitch black, but it was even gloomier in there than the rest of the ride. There were small lights set into the walls on either side of the track, but they were low to the ground and far between. The walls were painted black, and the corridor seemed so narrow that I felt boxed in. It was quiet, too, other than the hum of the track moving the buggies. I felt tense, and Mike and Karen weren't helping that. Maybe they looked tense, too. I think it was dawning on all of us how much trouble we might be in. Yeah, it's got a good... this story's got a good sense of like using your senses and describing what your senses are going through to build the creeps.
And I kind of like the idea of like this area being narrow because this is just for the cars, right? So we built enough space just for the cars.
Exactly.
So why would we have to put a person here? Anyway, I think a minute or so had passed like this. Us going down the dark, featureless backstage corridor when the ride suddenly stopped and I nearly jumped out of my skin as a voice came from somewhere overhead and laughed when I realized I'd been startled by the normal breakdown spiel. Playful spooks have interrupted our tour, the recording went. Please remain seated in your dune buggy. We will proceed in just a moment.
Alright. Well, we're back. We got interrupted there for a sec. Sorry. Okay. It's my turn.
Yes.
Alright. The teasing was immediate. And as we all pointed out to each other how we jumped, we waited for the ride to start again. And every 30 seconds or so, the spiel would play. We have been unappointedly detained by prankish spirits. Please remain seated in your doom buggy. We will continue our tour momentarily. This went on for a good long while. 10, maybe 15 minutes. And still the buggies hadn't moved. No one had come looking for us. We were getting antsy, and the silence between the announcements was becoming unsettling. Oh.
Then Karen leaned out a bit and looked around, and she noticed the door first. Just ahead, past the buggy, in front of us, work lights revealed a little alcove and a utility door on the right-hand side of the corridor. We were so sick of being in the buggy by that point, we were willing to try anything. So after a short discussion, we all squeezed out of the buggy and pressed against the wall to go past the next one. Mike had trouble here and stood before the door. I pushed it open, finding it unlocked. It led to a metal staircase leading down into the darkness. Footlights like the ones in the corridor revealed where to go. I was thinking up excuses in my head as why we went down the stairs. I explained why we're likely stepping into Disney underground utility corridors, the infamous utilidors, said to run like spiderweb beneath Disneyland. If someone found us, and by this point, I hope someone did.
Everyone's creeped out of the haunted mansion. At the bottom of the stairs, another closed door with a sign on it reading cast members only. We pushed through that as well, and were legitimately surprised to see that it opened into what looked like a themed hallway. Disney, even backstage, seemed to be paying attention to style as this hall sported the purple demon wallpaper and wainscoting of the rooms above. It was even lit by candle sconces on the walls, the fake flickering bulbs coated with cobwebs and dust. Several detailed wooden doors lined the hall, with out-of-place white placards mounted on them. Each was marked as a prop room, with a corresponding number. Ooh, spooks. Are you spooked?
A little bit.
Scary spirits, are you spooked? Oh, what a shitty spirit.
Yeah.
The spirit has indigestion.
The spirit needs
These Tums.
I was about to say Prozac. I'm like, Prozac isn't for heartburn.
No, it's not.
What's it for?
Prozac?
Doesn't Prozac chill you out?
Yeah.
What a chill spirit. No wonder it's so cold in here.
Anyway.
Your turn.
As we made our merry way up the hall, we tried each door we came to and found them all locked. First door, prop room number 1, shook a bit but wouldn't budge. Same with door 2 and 3. Mike chuckled and said he wondered if we would find Walt Disney's frozen head down here, but I could hear a nervous waver in his laugh. Even I was feeling some sense of dread with each door we tried. Something hard to place but nagging.
Yeah. Why didn't you pick the right door? Yeah.
At door 4, I put my ear to the edge of it and thought I heard what sounded like rushing water or faint TV static from the other side. And at door 5, I noticed that the faux candles, faux candles, flanking
Yes.
it were flickering more sporadically than the rest, like they were faulty. Door 6 to the left, and near another plain utility door that marked the hall's end, was the only one that yielded to us, and I was the one who turned the cold handle and opened it for the first time.
Ooh. It's difficult for me to describe what I saw in there without shuddering. Spirit, can you give us a shuddering sound? Shuddering.
The hell is shuddering?
Shuddering is when you're cold and you go, you shudder. There we go.
Yeah,
Thank you, Spirit.
Thank you.
Because even now, my telling makes it sound fairly normal. That is, as normal as a room hidden under a theme park attraction can possibly be. It wasn't very big, almost like a large storage shed. Unlike the hall, this one was the bland utility black and lit by a single fluorescent light in the ceiling, albeit a dim one. The walls were lined with metal cabinets, and there was some sort of large archaic gadget shoved into one corner, not unlike the old computer banks from the 60s. But what caught my attention right away was the grinning figure near the far wall across from the door. A dummy or animatronic of some sort, lifeless and unmoving, but standing on its base. Ooh.
Discovery was fascinating to us all. And without thinking, we all edged into the room and immediately approached the figure. Well, this is how you die. It was clearly meant to be one of the ghosts in the ride. A specter in a top hat and with a skull-like face. Cartoony bulging eyes and a leering smile. One of the teeth was even painted gold. He stood in a bow-legged stance, one gnarled hand holding a cane, and the other a hat box.
A hat box.
None of us had ever seen this particular character on the ride before, though Karen said its face looked sorry.
No, he's got the consumption.
Karen said the face looked a lot like the tall, skinny hitchhiking ghost from the end of the ride.
Oh yeah, the one with the hairs, the one who looks like the Mad Hatter from Batman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one. Hey, Spirit, have you ever been on the Haunted Mansion?
Spirit needs a hand vacuum.
Spirit spilled taco shells all over himself.
You're the worst, Spirit.
We're gonna get the Ghostbusters to take care of you, but not the original ones. The Answer the Call Ghostbusters. The more recent Ghostbusters. We're gonna have them suck you up. Wait. No, that didn't come out right.
Do you want them to suck you up?
I don't...
Maybe the one.
I can't tell if that would be bad or good in his situation.
We'll get you paper towels, Ghost. I was just turning away from the figure to look at the cabinets when there was combustion roar from the hall outside. Combustion roar. But boom! There! 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 There it was.
I imagine like the sound of a boiler turning on at this
That's
point.
right. What?
You don't want that.
You don't want that.
A boiler turning on?
The boiler room. I don't know what a boiler turning on sounds
I
like.
don't know either, but I could just imagine. I can imagine, though.
From the hall outside, the sound of a passing motorcycle, followed by a loud bassy boom that made the floor shake. The door to the room swung shut, and the fluorescent light sputtered and went out, leaving us in total darkness. Mike gasped and Karen screamed, and I was just reaching out for them in the dark when I heard a peculiar whirring sound. Another light came on, this one a concentrated green light above the Hatbox Ghost, showing its skeleton smile for a moment before the light faded and another faded on, illuminating the Hatbox. I could see through the material of the Hatbox now, and saw the ghost's head grinning at me from inside. The pattern repeated itself rhythmically, making it seem like the ghost's head was disappearing from his shoulders and appearing in the Hatbox. It wasn't a terribly convincing effect, but in the dark, and with the strange things going on around me, it genuinely scared me. You know what? That'd make me poop. Ah! That actually scared me! That actually scared me!
Wait, you got the scream. You forgot the gasp.
Oh,
Gasp!
that actually scared me, dude.
I don't have to guess.
It's even worse because I have one earbud on, and one is like I hear myself, and then the other one is like whatever's going on in the room. It scared the crap out of me.
I'm gonna say that does sound like a very good animatronic.
No, I can see it happening.
Yeah.
In my mind's eye, I can see this happening, and it would be like a terrifying like clusterfuck.
Yeah, like a ghost. His head's disappeared, but it's in the box.
There's lights flickering. Green, 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 green.
Anyway,
All right.
I turned and stumbled through the room, ready to get out of there, feeling around for the door. Sadly, there wasn't a door there for me to feel. There was something else for me to grab.
Why'd you read it like that? Why'd you read it so sensually?
Kind of turned me off.
Well, this
Yeah.
is grad night, right?
Oh, it is grad night.
Anyway, now even the light on the ghost shut off, and I heard Karen and Mike's feet behind me. A crash, and the sound of something solid tapping on the concrete floor. I tried pushing the door open, but it wouldn't budge, and somebody slammed into my back. Mike, stop! It's not the time. This ain't the time, Mike. Slammed my back in the dark and caused me to hit hard. I was dazed but unhurt, and another scream from Karen fueled my adrenaline even more. I instead gave the door a tug, and it opened.
What a sensual paragraph.
Give it a tug.
A
A lot of hard smacking. In the
lot of
back
hard
of me.
smacking. Mike's got a fear boner. Like everything's falling apart.
I mean, this is grad
It's
night.
starting to turn into 50 Shades of Ghosts.
Ooh, it
50
seems
Shades of Mansion.
I've gotten my ectoplasm on you. I was out in the hall without a second thought, without even looking back. I started running, sprinting back the way I had come, gasping for air. I was never a very athletic kid, but panic kept me going. I heard sounds behind me, footsteps, Mike and Karen yelling in terror as they followed, and what seemed like rapid knocking and banging on the doors around me. But I refused to look over my shoulder. Up the stairs and back into the doom buggy corridor in what felt like a matter of seconds. The doom buggies were moving now, endlessly traveling through the shadows. I knew it was risky to jump into one in this narrow corridor, and for a moment I stopped, trying to figure out what to do.
Get out of there.
You get out.
What else you gonna get out of there?
Get. Won't let you piss on the haunted mansion. I won't allow it.
You don't piss on hospitality.
Don't piss on the ghost's hospitality. I won't allow it.
I finally looked back down the stairway. I had come back down the stairway I'd come from. I thought Mike and Karen had been right behind me, but they were gone. I called out their names, my voice echoing down the stairs, but there was no reply. Not until I heard something tapping on the metal stairs, coming up towards the door. I saw an unfamiliar vague shadow from the wall that I flung the door closed and dove into the nearest buggy.
Yes.
which carried me down the corridor a little ways before finally emerging into the limbo-like loading room.
All of the effects were still running here, including the eerie music and sounds, but there was still no one else around. I yelled for help, but no one appeared. As soon as I could, I jumped out of the doom buggy and ran up the line into the hall of morphing portraits. Ahead was the door to the elevator, the stretching gallery, but I remembered that this area had a more immediate chicken exit, meant for those too scared to ride the ride but wanted to head back up to the park. The door was marked with an obvious exit sign sitting between two shuttered windows that made it look like it led to a stormy night, and without hesitating, I pushed through that as well. I pissed on the door. Ah, fuck you, Disney.
I was gonna say, these next 3 lines are pretty short. I'll take all 3, okay?
All right. He's going for a combo, guys. He's going for
Combo
turkey.
right
a hat trick, that's what it is.
Beyond was another corridor on either side of me. Flashing lights On either side of me, flashing lights pointed at the windows to simulate lightning, flickering with each thunderclap that boomed through the hall, disorienting me even further. Turning left, I followed the hall as the floor inched gently up. My throat tightened and a stitch in my side.
Ooh.
And then my throat closed altogether as I turned the corner. Almost ran into the Hatbox Ghost.
Oh, it was standing smack dab in the middle of the hall.
Okay,
You got something? What's up?
I said I was gonna take 3.
Oh, you were gonna take 3. 1, 2. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Shut up, Spirit. There's an ad break.
I know. I keep getting this too with these dumb clouds.
Spirit still
Anyway.
needs a hand vacuum.
Oh, Spirit, you're a fat ass. All right, Spirit the Hut over there is too busy eating. Why does he has a sound box? Not a hat box, a sound box. His throat is closing altogether. See that?
Yeah, it was. Anyway, it was standing smack dab in the middle of the hall, between me and the door that led outside. I scrambled backwards instinctively, but the figure didn't move. It was a static prop grinding its cadaver grin. Backlit by a ceiling light further down the hall, the light also broke the illusion of the hat box, and I could see vaguely the shape of the dismembered bodied head through the scrim. I don't know what a scrim is.
I think it's like a screen.
It says scrim.
Like a very thin fabric. We use it all the time to put over tables and stuff.
Okay. Thank you, catering spirit. Or I was thoroughly convinced at that moment, that thing was going to suddenly jerk to life.
It's gonna jerk something, alright.
It's gonna jerk to life. It's coming after me. Go after me. Oh, don't open your mouth. But it didn't. I had no idea how it had gotten there from down in the sub-level, or how it had so quickly. Maybe the one I'd seen below was the only figure. Maybe Mike and Karen were pulling a fast one on me. Yeah, it's a jerk, and there's common pulling fast ones. And had dragged the figure up with them. I was frozen, trying to figure out where to go next, not wanting to go anywhere near the ghost, but not wanting to backtrack either, because I still felt like there was something sinister behind me. Nervously, I croaked out the names of my lost friends, but there was no reply. Noises from the ride seemed to come floating down the hall, muted but ever present. Then I heard the groan. Spirit!
The one time we need you to groan.
The one time we actually needed you to groan, Spirit. There we go, there's a groan.
It could have been a human groan, or something mechanical, but I definitely heard it. It didn't sound like any of the standard audio, and it came from a point somewhere near or past the Hatbox Ghost. Maybe even from further down the corridor past the exit. As if this were a trigger, I realized that either my eyes had adjusted to the dark or the lighting had somehow changed because I looked again at the hat box and saw the thing inside through the scrim. There was still a head in there, but I know it wasn't the ghost's head. Wasn't even a cartoon caricature of a head. It wasn't Mike or Karen.
Ooh. Ooh, was that a sound box or was it you? I don't know anymore. At this point, the details elude me. Elude me. I know that what I saw shook me to my very core, and that's part of the reason it's taken me so long to recount this. I remember seeing the thing in the box, seeing that it was indeed a human head, a man's face, a face I didn't recognize, seemingly looking back out at me with shocked, pleading eyes. But after that, there's a blur of sheer terror and snatches of frightening images. Gnarled hands, tombstones, pneumatic hissing, the stretching room going in reverse, shrinking too fast, the ceiling rushing toward me, the corpse hanging in the rafters, descending on me. Ooh, that was nice. That was like a quick that was like an Event Horizon kind of deal.
Yeah, and I also like it's not just spooky things. It's like no, this is like machinery's talking.
Yeah,
to me too.
Yeah, the machinery is
it's
talking.
It's not just
to you.
The spooky music's playing. Oh no, I hear the pneumatics of the machine too.
That's right, creak. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I try not to dwell on them too much because now I'm no longer sure which really happened and which were the results of the nightmares I had for years. The next thing I can remember clearly after that was being on my hands and knees just outside the fence of the haunted mansion, vomiting out onto the pavement, while around me crowds of people stood. Most of them weren't paying me any mind. There was lots of whispered talk, and a few were crying. There were red and blue lights, police cars parked nearby, but I couldn't tell why. I just sat there, gulping and sobbing, until a cast member finally noticed me and led me to the first aid station.
Karen was there when I arrived, and she jumped up and hugged me tight when she saw me. I don't think either of us made much sense. We were both at our wits' end, but it was such a relief to see her after all that any questions I had fell by the wayside. I'll never forget how haunted she looked, wide-eyed and pale, barely able to form a sentence without tearing up. Mike never turned up.
That fateful night never left me, and in the years since then, I've slowly begun to piece together the details, trying to vainly make sense of what happened. It became sort of a private obsession, something I do in the background as I move on with my life.
All right. We got a bunch of long ones. We'll just rapid fire this.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about it at the end. I'll start this one.
So wait, is this him just going to explain what he thinks happened?
I feel like this is like the culmination of like whatever investigations he's done over the years.
Okay.
Okay. First, it didn't take long for Karen and I to learn why the police cars were there, and they weren't for us. According to the reports we heard later, an 18-year-old guy from New Mexico had died while we were in the haunted mansion. He and a friend had snuck into a backstage area on Tom Sawyer's Island and stole a rubber emergency boat to go for a joyride around the rivers of America. Apparently the guy was pretty drunk, and it wasn't long before he hit a rock, throwing he and his friend from the boat. His friend went for help, but he drowned before he could find him. His body was discovered an hour later.
I wonder now if that's why there was no one around when we crept backstage. I managed to track down a few cast members who were working that night, and thought most of them claimed that they were told to be management not cause alarm and keep their post. Several admitted they had gone to check out the grim spectacle, especially those CMs that were on the attraction near the river, like the Haunted Mansion. Was the timing such that everyone turned a blind eye while we stumbled into this something hideous?
Hey, Rob.
What?
My phone's dying. I need to look at your screen.
Okay.
Turn that thing over. Where are we?
You're here.
This one? All right.
You're here.
Okay. Mike's disappearance was something me and Karen both felt deeply, and we tried for years to get something from anyone about it. His parents told us later that he'd shown up again a day or so later, behaving erratically, barely registering them, deeply disturbed by something. Mike had planned on moving out beforehand, but that night, after lashing out at his folks, he grabbed very few personal belongings, took the family car, and drove off to points unknown. After that, he dropped off the face of the earth.
Karen and I eventually drifted, probably because we blame each other for what happened. She never expressed to me what she experienced after we got separated, either because she wanted me to feel guilty for leaving them behind. Oh, Karen, you have no idea, or that she, like me, can only recall so much. We were both too shaken to recount to each other, but time and distance makes things easier, and with the advent of the internet, there was suddenly a wealth of new information. I've since begun to piece together clues.
Ooh. Almost immediately, I found our Hatbox ghost. Plugging that into any search engine will turn up multitudes of pictures of that bow-legged, grinning figure that has often floated through my mind's eye in the dark. It was apparently part of the attraction when it first opened in 1969, and much of the promotional material of the ride at the time featured this character in his ubiquitous hatbox. He originally stood in the attic scene, right across from the ghostly bride with the beating heart, but was quietly removed from the ride after only a week. Apparently, the effect of his disappearing head never worked perfectly, or so the official account goes. I'm going to take this one, too. In recent years, the Hatbox Ghost has gained a fan base, groups of Haunted Mansion fans that want to see him restored to his bride. It's wishful thinking, I'm sure, because that figure had to have been stored downstairs for a reason.
It took longer to find out about the backstage area where the doom buggies go. That empty corridor, not originally meant to be seen by guests, disabled guests, however, travel that route all the time. Wheelchair access to the ride is done through the limbo-like loading room, and guests travel back around to this room to reclaim their wheelchairs and head back out. Sorry. I posted about it and posted queries for details about the area, but no one has given me a description that sounds anything like what I went through. It's been described as short, bland, and with some sort of catwalk going over the track, but no mysterious alcove or obvious doorway. It takes less than 30 seconds for the doom buggies to go through, and then they're back in the loading room. I suspect Disney might have changed that area since.
The? Is that supposed to be a the?
HT80s?
HT80s! Yo, man, welcome to the HT80s.
But why?
Most recently, though, I've come across an odd factoid that seems more like a morbid curiosity than anything else. Unless once being through what I have. It's not about the Haunted Mansion, however, but its nearby e-ticket neighbor, Pirates of the Caribbean. According to the story, and this has been published in various Disney-owned books, so it's no vague rumor, the Imagineers who built the ride felt that the faux skeletons of the time weren't convincing enough for the underground grotto scenes, so they borrowed real human remains from the UCLA Medical Center, dressed them as pirates, and put them in the caves. let that sink in for a moment. Millions of people went by on boats and had no idea they were looking at real skeletons, all propped up in pirate garb. Especially a later team of Imagineers would replace these with more convincing facsimiles. And supposedly the bones were returned to their countries of origin and given proper burial.
No, these real skeletons are not convincing. We have to make fake real
We
skeletons.
have to make real fake skeletons.
You heard that right.
I didn't catch any of that.
Thanks, Spirit. Oh, that's...
Exactly.
Welcome to the magic.
Welcome to the magic.
But who's to say they were? What if someone was left behind in the basement when the bones were taken? What if pirates... What if pirates wasn't the only ride that did this? The show built...
Rob, all these rides are full of skeletons.
I mean, I can imagine Small World being filled with
Oh, yeah, no,
skeletons.
those are full of children's skeletons.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
those
I was going
are-
to say the water, too, is just filled with dead people who decided to kill themselves.
No, that's
'cause
all...
They can't take that ride.
It's all just corpse soup.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Small World.
It's bone soup.
Small World refers to purgatory.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This is what you have to go through to get to heaven.
That's right. Oh.
I lost my spot. Was the only place the show building of the Haunted Mansion was built along the rest of New Orleans Square in 1963, but it took another 6 years for the actual attraction to open. Why the delay? It couldn't have just been a gridlock from the 1964 World's Fair and Walt Disney's death in '66. Could it?
All of this is speculation, a string of understanding that raises more questions for me than it does answers. I want to get to the truth of what happened that night, but everything I've found doesn't add up to concrete explanation. Perhaps there isn't one, though I desperately want there to be. And I can't go back. I won't. Not after the things I saw and felt and the skeletons that touched me. I haven't set foot in Disneyland since that night. Maybe, though, maybe it's time I tried again. Is there more?
Yes.
Yes. You can have these two.
I just love the idea of Disney's just filled with skeletons.
Yeah, no, Disney is just built by skeletons.
I mean, I understand there's probably people dead under Disney and people have died in Disney,
Yeah.
but the rides are made of skeletons.
Yeah, no. Disney is made of skeletons.
Karen, if you're out there and you're reading this, I'm sorry about everything. I'm trying to make it right. Trying to put some meaning to this. Contact me if you can. I need to know what happened to you and Mike. We're pushing Lethal Leap here.
Oh, we are.
Please call me back.
Call me back. Karen, call me back.
Maybe you have the key to the mystery in our memories. I can't do it alone. But together, we might get to the bottom of this. You want me to continue?
Yeah, go ahead. Finish it up, Rob.
For everyone else, let this stand as a testament. Some things are backstage for a reason, and a company like Disney must have multitude of skeletons in its closet, and its rides,
In its food, in the tarmac, in the safari,
and its people.
in the people, the skeletons in all the cast members at Disney.
Exactly. Even the people coming in have
Yeah,
skeletons.
the people coming in, the people leaving.
They all
Some
have
of the people who leave don't have skeletons.
That's even worse.
Jelly people. That's why they have so many electric scooters.
Yeah, right. Think twice before you pull some stupid stunt like I did, because it might not be security that finds you. And there's a picture of the Hatbox Ghost. Which,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I had a different image in my head, but that actually looks better.
Credit to Cracked Mac, a.k.a. King of David's. Credit to you.
Yeah. Thank you. David King.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Cracked Mac. What did you think? Did you also get the sense that it get crazier and crazier?
A little. I mean, I thought it had a pretty good opening. Like, I did like the aspect of, when no one's looking, let's just jump off the ride and see what's backstage.
Yeah.
I liked the atmosphere that was pulling for that.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of skeletons inside Disney,
Could be true.
could be true. It would not surprise me. But
Is Disney a person? Is Disneyland a person? Is that why there's a
This kid's
skeleton?
lucky he didn't find the cryogenic stasis pod that Disney's in.
That's actually a story for another time. We'll
Yeah, there
we'll
is.
get to that. I'll do that episode with the spirit.
You'll love it.
Yeah, you'll love it. It's a crazy conspiracy story. I'll do that episode.
There's no conspiracy about it.
None.
He's there.
No, don't worry. We'll do that episode.
I've seen it. I think I've seen it.
I'll say this: I do like the idea. I do like the design. The idea of like what the monster looks like. The skeleton, the Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah, he's a real part of the ride.
Was he?
Yeah, he is.
I could definitely see him being a real part of the ride too. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know the full aspect of was he a real prop or anything like that, but I could definitely see him being on the ride and stuff.
Yeah,
and
he is on the ride.
Yeah, he's a real part of the ride.
It's been a long time since I've been on.
Yeah, he's one of the hitchhiking ghosts.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been on this ride, so. But still.
That's a Rob. Rob's trying not to remember.
Oh, Rob, did you write the story? Are you
No.
trying not to remember Haunted Mansion?
No, I don't.
But, it's well written. The pacing's great.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and, what's her name, Diane?
Karen?
Mike and Karen were just there. I like this story a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I like this story.
I like it.
It's okay.
You
It's a
kind
little
of lost me at the point when you said skeletons in the ride.
Yeah, no, that's what you lost us there, Crack Mac. You lost us there.
And
David.
I also kind of lost a little bit when it's just like you turn down the corridor and it's there!
And it's there! Ooh.
Never seen that happen before.
Never seen that happen before. But you know what? It's great. Everybody should keep writing. No matter how bad your writing is, you got to keep writing because that's the only way you'll get better. If you suck, that's the only way you're going to get better.
Unless you just really suck.
Unless you just really suck, like me.
And you don't learn.
You don't learn. You have to learn.
You have to learn why you suck, but then the thing is, you have
Rob,
to...
we know why you suck.
There's tons of reasons why I suck, but you have to understand why and then fix it.
Yeah, don't be the Dark Side Phil of horror fiction. We're not going to explain to you who Dark Side Phil is. You have Google. You have YouTube. Okay? It's premium content. Okay?
Okay.
But I like it. You
Yeah,
like
it's good.
it? Spirit, do you like it?
Did we appease you?
Spirit, who showed up a quarter of the way through this episode?
You didn't understand the whole beginning?
I'm gonna have a sound effect to show up when the editing. Future Julian's gonna put some editing on this.
I only showed up for a quarter of it?
No, you were here like we were a quarter of the way through it, and then you showed up.
Oh, that story sucked.
Yeah, he wasn't here from the beginning. It sucks.
No,
right.
I like the premise. I like the idea.
Yeah. Of a haunted.
And he's probably right.
Yeah, based on a true story.
I told you I found the body.
Yeah,
Disney's really frozen.
yeah. Maybe that's the head inside the hat box.
Maybe you're the skeleton.
Maybe there's a skeleton in
I'm
all
the
of us.
Hatbox Ghost.
Maybe. God, there's your Halloween costume.
I came back with Julian.
That's right. All right, guys. We'll be back with another episode. We don't know what we're going to read. Oh, you know what? I might get Rob to finally read that goddamn Goatman story. Yeah, I kept telling you to read it.
That Goatman story you've told me about for years now.
Yeah, Goatman story is great. Okay, bye. Don't let the Hatbox Goats put your balls in his hat box.
See you guys.
Bye.